What's going on, guys? So we have our 2023 GMC Denali pickup truck right here. It's a half-ton truck with the 3-liter LZO Duramax diesel. Next to it, we have our media vehicle. This is a 2025 Ram Limited 1500 four-wheel drive truck. These are both actually four-wheel drive trucks, and there's a lot going on here. But today's video is specifically to talk about towing. I guess I could do a video on tailgates too, because they both have two completely different takes on the tailgate wars, and yeah, that'll probably be another video. That said, we're going to be towing the Surveyor with this truck today. Now, I made a video previously, and by the time you see this video, you know, the storm is probably going to be long gone, but Hurricane Beryl, which is now Tropical Storm Beryl, is scheduled to make landfall about 50, I think 60 miles northeast of here along the coast. And because it has kind of moved beyond our impact zone as far as like a direct hurricane, whenever it forms back into a hurricane, I feel pretty confident in making this video. That was kind of the holdup before. I didn't want to tow the trailer if I thought the winds were going to be too strong. That said, we are getting some wind gusts. I'd probably say some of them are in excess of 35 miles an hour, in that range. But the winds are pretty much calm at the moment. The clouds have definitely rolled in, and we are going to do some towing today. Now, the difference between these two trucks in terms of height may not be very noticeable, but here's the difference. This truck has airbags, and they're on the lowest setting currently. Whenever you're towing, they go up one notch. So we need to factor that in whenever we hitch up to the RV using the B&W Continuum hitch. And we may need to make a few little adjustments, but we'll make all those adjustments when we get to the trailer, and we will we'll let you know how that process goes. Hang tight, I'll be right back. Okay, so the airbags just lowered by themselves, and I know I have the ability to control them inside, which I'm gonna go ahead and attempt to do. But what we want to do is we want to try to make sure everything is set up properly here. The first thing I'm going to do is hitch up the setup. I think we're probably in a pretty good place right here. Again, dialing in weight distribution on this is super simple, but when you have air suspension, it might add a little bit of complexity to that. So we're going to see what happens here. I have my GoPro ready to go once we get on the road, so I can film that process. Let's go ahead and get the tongue jack lowered down. This is that Phoenix 4000, super fast. I'm gonna go ahead and stop it right there so we can get this part over here in place. Okay, so I was kicking my butt over here trying to figure out what I was doing wrong because I couldn't get the cylinder to release, and I just realized I didn't have the bleed valve right here open enough, and I was wearing myself out, wondering what in the world's going on. So I have the cylinder extended now. It's just lifting this into this area right here so we can get our weight distribution in place. Okay, so this is kind of interesting. So the minute I plugged the 7-way connector into the truck, it started going through the light check. So it does it automatically. I can see my driver's side turn signal going, my passenger side turn signal going, then my reverse lights kick on, and then my brake lights kick on. That is pretty cool. I was not expecting it to do that. So yeah, the minute you plug the trailer in, it starts that process, so you don't have to go into the truck and program it or set it like you do on GM and Ford trucks. That's very cool. We have everything set up now. Yeah, you definitely want to make sure you bleed all the pressure off in there, otherwise you are not going to get that cylinder to extend, and you are not going to be hitching up your trailer. So we got all that taken care of. We have everything greased up. We are hitched up. Everything's connected, and all of our lights are working. So we're going to pull it out, get it level, because the front slopes down right here, and it's not going to be a good accurate reading in terms of weight distribution, and we're going to hit the road. Okay, let's get to pulling now. All right, so I'm going to get to this little level area right here. We're going to get out. We're going to see how everything looks. Okay, so I'd have to say that looks pretty dang level. We're not transferring a tremendous amount of weight to the back of the trailer because the air suspension kicked in and it went to its normal travel height, which is where I would kind of expect it to be. I have the weight distribution hitch only applying about 700 pounds worth of pressure. It's leveling it up just a little bit, enough to keep the nose of the RV from slouching down at all. But as you can see, the setup is perfect. We are perfectly level. We're gonna hit the road and we're gonna see how it feels, especially considering we have some outer bands of a tropical storm coming through, and we're getting some wind gusts. So nothing crazy. If at all I feel unsafe, I'll slow down, use my trailer brakes, and get back. The only thing really lacking from this truck are dedicated tow mirrors. It has kind of a traditional mirror with the blind spot mirror up in the top corner, but they're not flip out tow mirrors like you might expect with a tow package. That said, you know, we have a truck here that is capable of towing, but you want to be careful what you tow with this. This, to me, with the Surveyor back here, is about the maximum I would go with a truck this size, and let me talk about that. So again, you can see on the sticker here, we went over in the first video, we have 1,193 pounds worth of cargo capacity. What's interesting is if you look at some of your mid-size SUVs or even minivans, they'll typically have a higher cargo capacity than that. One of the reasons for this is because this is a super high trim truck. This is a limited, and that takes away from your normal cargo capacity. So if this were a lower trim truck, this number would creep up by hundreds of pounds potentially, depending on what trim that you have. And right now, as it sits, the Surveyor hitched up, we're probably transferring about 600 pounds, maybe a little more than that, to the back of this truck. And the Surveyor is not even completely loaded with camping gear. So it would definitely be heavier than that, probably in the range of 700 pounds. And then you have to factor in the weight of everyone that'll be inside of your vehicle. So if you have 400, 500, 600 pounds worth of people in the vehicle, you have to add it to the weight you're pressing down on the back of the truck, basically your cargo capacity. And that's all going to count towards or against your cargo capacity sticker down here. So this is why it's really important to understand what the capabilities of a truck are. Even though they make these Ram half-ton trucks go way up to like 11,000+ pounds worth of towing capacity, and in some instances upwards of 2,000 pounds worth of cargo capacity, you have to always know what your specific truck is capable of. Not what the max rated version of the truck that they advertise is, but what the truck you're purchasing is capable of. Your tow numbers as well as your cargo capacity numbers are critically important, and understanding where to find those numbers and what those numbers actually mean when you take both of them into account is also critically important. And this travel trailer, being a 240 BLE 2024 Forest River Surveyor, has a cargo capacity of 2,024 pounds, has a gross vehicle weight rating of 7,545 pounds, but as it sits right now, we're probably at about 6,500 pounds, which is actually a little higher than what I would typically recommend for a truck like this. Got to get my water bottle. Now, this truck likely has a rated maximum tow capacity closer to about 9,000 pounds, maybe even a little higher than that. But keep in mind, the minute you start adding payload to the truck, the minute you start deducting from one of those numbers, and that's the cargo capacity. Okay, so once I plugged the trailer in, you saw that it was giving me my light check, but it also puts it in auto trailer haul mode, which is really nice, or tow haul mode. We're about to hit the road, so let's see how this truck performs. Okay, so we are on the road, and as you can tell, we've hit some rain. And these rain bands are actually part of Hurricane Beryl, or Tropical Storm Beryl, or whatever it is at this moment, coming through. Of course, I had to start whenever we hit the road. The other thing too is we're getting some pretty hard side winds. So we have some gusts probably approaching the mid 30-mile-an-hour range. This truck has absolutely no problem hauling this trailer. It has all the power in the world. My wife even commented that when we left, she goes, man, you really can't even feel it back there, because it does a phenomenal job from a power perspective moving this thing. The only other thing though that we're feeling is a bit of, I don't really want to call it sway, but it is. It's essentially where the trailer is reacting to the wind that's hitting it, and that reaction has a bit of a sway feel to it, but not much, not in any way that's concerning to me as someone who's towing. I feel as if the truck is towing the trailer just fine, even though we have hit some crosswinds. Again, all the power in the world, this thing moves this trailer exceptionally well. From a fuel economy perspective, the numbers have dropped down to the low teens from a towing average, so that's not too bad either. From a fuel economy perspective, while towing, the numbers have dropped off quite a bit, close to that 10.5, 11 mile per gallon range. On the highway, I suspect we could probably get upwards of 15.5, 16 miles per gallon, but we won't be towing long enough to test that. Again, we do have a tropical storm that's going to be coming through here, and we are getting some of the outer bands currently. From a towing feeling perspective, the truck is handling the trailer perfectly fine. I don't feel as if this trailer feels too heavy for the truck, but I do feel as if I was much larger, it would definitely be a much more concerning feel. My wife also made the point when we first took off that she actually said, what is that? What am I feeling? Because it was kind of a bit of a porpoising feel. And that's essentially where the weight of the tongue is pressing down, that dynamic load is pressing down on the back of the truck, and the truck is kind of reacting to it, and it creates kind of a bouncing effect right in the back of the truck. Not much of one, but it is still there. The airbags are set to normal, and like I said, we have about 700 PSI transferring according to the B&W Continuum hitch and the gauge that's on there. But as it stands right now, the truck accelerates perfectly fine, almost as if we're not hauling anything. That is really cool. The truck right now is also tracking perfectly straight. I'm not getting any of that side gusts because I'm actually going into the wind right now. But typically this is where you would feel some of that resistance whenever you're hitting the wind, because you have a large profile, trailer behind you. But if you have this truck in this exact same configuration, I feel as if most people would be pretty satisfied with the towing experience, so long as you are using a weight distribution hitch, or you have done the calculations and kind of factored for what your airbags are going to do in conjunction with weight distribution. Because you have to remember, this truck has airbags on all four corners. And when I started hitching up, it actually became a bit of a problem, because the minute I put the tongue weight of the trailer down, the truck wanted to adjust to it. And you have to understand that airbags are not the same as weight distribution. Just because your airbags lift the back of the truck up does not mean that it's putting any more weight to the front of your truck. And if it is, it's putting very little. What you're essentially doing is just leveling out your truck. And leveling out your truck is not the same as returning weight to your front axle, so you can mitigate the chance of steering loss, that lightness that you sometimes feel when you're hauling a heavier trailer, as well as, the chance that you are going to incur a sway event because the back of the trailer is, or sorry, the trailer in general is creating a sway event because of where that weight is placed. But overall, it's towing really good. We're going to get on the expressway here in a little bit, and we'll definitely be able to give you a better perception of how this tows overall whenever we're on, faster highways. Okay, so we are going to be climbing onto the expressway here in a second. Yeah, you can see the cloud formation in front of us. Again, that's an outer band of a tropical storm. We'll be able to pick up some speed and see how the trailer feels. Again, no problem at all from a power perspective towing this trailer. It handles the weight absolutely fine. Accelerating is effortless. It has no problem. I mean, when you push over 500 horsepower and 500 pound-feet of torque plus, you definitely have the power to move something like this. And that's not really the issue. I've told people time and time again, your towing capacity isn't generally the issue. It's how weight feels on the truck. And from a payload perspective, you can definitely feel you have a trailer back there. Okay, we are going to accelerate to get onto the ramp. I'm not flooring it, but I'm definitely giving it a bit more gas. And this inline 6 gas engine is doing a good job. Definitely does not sound like a V8 though. All right. So we are getting on the expressway now. So far, no sway, but I don't think we're being hit by much of a crosswind. You can definitely feel you're towing a trailer, no doubt about it. I'm going 55 miles an hour right now, so I'm not going all the way up at highway speeds. Definitely have some wind coming up here. I can see the trees moving. And in that event, if I feel sway, I'll just gently ease on the trailer brakes while still pressing the accelerator. So what that does is it creates tension between the two, and it will straighten out the trailer and just get things back in line. Got people going around me right now because I am going about 57 miles an hour. I'm not wanting to go too fast. This is definitely one of those things when you're hauling a trailer, you want to do what's comfortable. You don't want to try to go crazy. You don't want to try to be the fastest person on the road. In many cases, you don't even want to have to try to keep up with traffic. You just want to be the one who's kind of setting your own path, go the speed that makes you feel comfortable, and don't try to stress out too much. Basically, you want to keep the best possible circumstances around you feeling comfortable, because if you're just trying to do what other people are doing, you could find yourself in a dangerous situation. So it's interesting because when I look back at the trailer's not swaying, but the entire truck and trailer are definitely moving with the wind a little bit. And you can look at those palms there on the right side, they're moving. There's a good amount of wind. And when I start encountering it, again, the goal here is to keep some throttle going. So basically keep the gas down a little bit and then apply a little bit of trailer brake. And that little bit of trailer brake is enough to create tension between the two vehicles. So the trailer's trying to slow the truck down while the truck is trying to pull the trailer. You don't want to put too much trailer brake on or you can wear out your brakes. But it definitely brings everything back to line. Okay, we're actually going to turn around here in a little bit. We're going to head back. My wife actually feels as if it's too windy to be pulling a trailer right now, and it's not constant wind, but we are definitely getting enough gusts that it will certainly make you feel a little odd when you're going down the road. But yeah, we're gonna turn around here in a little bit and head back. Okay, so we are back. We're gonna get unhitched. You know, my final evaluation of this is that the truck has absolutely no problem handling the towing weight as far as the overall weight of this. This is a very windy day, and one that a lot of people probably wouldn't even try to go out with, simply because you don't know what to expect from a crosswind. But the challenge though is if you're RVing in general, you know, it's hard to say you'll know what to expect on any trip, right? You can always look at the weather forecast and you can always presume that it's going to be perfect whenever you're traveling, but a lot of people find themselves in a situation to where the place that they're going has really, really windy climate. And whenever you're dealing with that, you always have the chance that you're going to get a side wind. Now, granted, the B&W Continuum hitch does not have any specifically purpose-built sway control built into it, right? It doesn't have your typical spring bars that would attach to L brackets to create friction. And because of that, your sway control is inherent simply because of how well this performs weight distribution. But you should keep in mind though, regardless of your hitch, whether it is a weight distribution hitch by itself or whether it's weight distribution with sway control, you do always have the risk that a strong enough side wind with speed can create instability. So understanding what to do, understanding how to actuate your trailer brakes while you're driving with the truck and you're creating, again, that tension between the two. The trailer's trying to slow down while the truck is trying to speed up, and the process of adding brake control to that gives you that tension in the middle, which then can help resolve sway. So if you are experiencing a sway situation, that's kind of your way out of it, and you have to still be careful when you're doing it. Now, keep in mind, again, you don't want to ride your trailer brakes. You don't want to ride them for too long because you could deal with problems such as brake fade, your pads get too hot, you wear them out, things like that. You just want to apply them when you start feeling some of that sway, just to kind of get everything back in line and straightened up and to prevent the trailer from moving back and forth. But overall, though, the truck handles the tongue weight pretty well. It handles the overall weight of the trailer in an excellent way. It really has no problem pulling it. It's effortless. You do want to keep in mind the fact that your truck is going to be relatively light, though. So these trucks aren't super heavy. This truck probably weighs about half as much as my F450. So if you're going to be hauling bigger trailers, if you're going to be hauling through windy, inclement weather, just keep in mind that the weight of your truck does matter. The weight of your truck, the wheelbase of your truck, how you have it hitched up does matter. And hauling something like this with a truck like this is perfectly fine 99.9% of the time. Going much, much larger than this, you definitely can encounter wind, and that wind can definitely create instability and uncertainty whenever you're towing. But overall, I think this is a really good setup. I didn't feel at any point as if things were getting out of control, considering we were getting some pretty extreme side gusts. You know, dialing this in was a little bit more difficult because of the air suspension on the truck, and it kind of works against you, if that makes sense, because you're trying to do things here that the air suspension's kind of counteracting in a way, and it's lifting the back of the truck and it's changing your height situation. And I'm gonna have to figure out if there's a way to truly just disable the airbags and get yourself set at a preset height so you don't have to worry about situations like that. At the end of the day though, I gotta be honest with you, I'm pretty impressed overall. The power of this truck, its handling capability, the ride comfort, everything, while towing a trailer that is not a lightweight trailer. This is a relatively good size and weight trailer for a half-ton truck like this, especially considering the payload capacity of this truck. It did a good job, and I'm pretty impressed with it. I would not hesitate to use this combination to tow probably anywhere. I would just, again, try to figure out my airbag setup to where I don't have to deal with the truck wanting to level itself out automatically whenever I'm trying to control the weight distribution, because, again, leveling your truck out is not going to change the weight distribution. If anything, it could actually distribute weight to the back of your trailer and possibly even remove more weight from the front of your truck. You have to be very careful when you're dealing with airbags on a truck setup like this. That said, I would love to know what your feedback is. Please drop a comment below. Let me know what you thought of the video. Guys, if you haven't had a chance, please take a moment, subscribe to the channel, give me a thumbs up, and we'll talk to you again very soon.